Welcome to Healing Whole, the podcast. I'm your host, Callie. I'm a health and wellness expert, a certified personal trainer, and holistic health coach. I also happen to be extremely passionate about holistic healing. With over 13 years of experience, I've worked with clients from all walks of life. I also know a healing and holistic lifestyle can be a little overwhelming. I'm here to break it down for you and take you on my journey to healing whole. Remember, the materials and content within this podcast are intended as general information only and are not to be considered a substitute for medical advice or treatment. Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Healing Whole, the podcast. I'm here with Joan Karp of Keystone Cultures.
Yep.
Yeah, Keystone Cultures. I said that right. Okay, I was like, wait a second, did I say that right? I'm 100% sure I said that right, but I got scared. Joan's quick bio is she gets excited about helping people live their best lives. That is her goal every day. The modern world is hostile to microbial life, particularly to the microbes in the human gut, which we're going to get into. We're going to dive into that a little bit here. When your gut isn't richly and diversely populated with these essentials, tiny partners, everything from digestion and immune response to mental clarity and emotional resiliency function. Now you're saying big words that I can't say. Suboptimally.
Yes.
So it doesn't work. It doesn't work as well as it could.
Correct.
We're saying, right? Okay.
Correct.
The refreshing beverages and other things that Keystone Cultures offers, the live beverages offer you a delicious and easy way to support your internal microbial ecosystem so that you can live your best life. They help you reseed, rewild, and regenerate the garden of your gut. Their motto is happy gut, happy life. You are nature. We just help you drink like it.
Yep.
Which I think is an understatement saying we just help you drink like it, because that's a big deal.
True. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't think people give their gut health. Well, it's maybe only been in the last, 3-4 years that
couple years, I think it's gotten more important.
I totally agree. I think after we've come out of the last couple of years with COVID, I think people have maybe been a little bit more interested in how could they be more proactive in making sure that their immune function is on point. And that's really opened up the whole can of worms, so to speak, about your gut is literally the root of your overall well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we'll get into that more, but I do like to ask the question always at the top. How did you in particular get into this kind of holistic healing way of living? Is there a story behind it?
I mean, a little bit. I think any of us who are interested in helping other people live their most vibrant lives, it's probably because at some point we weren't, and maybe we were stuck, and maybe we were looking in all of the places we're told to look, like allopathic medicine and the doctor. And that's not to say, just first of all, I don't mean any ill toward the many, many beautiful people who do beautiful work in that medical model.
Of course.
But when I was a young woman in my early 20s, I went to several allopathic doctors, and they told me eventually that I had PCOS, but nobody ever told me how that happened, why that happened, what that meant, or what I could do from an environmental and lifestyle to even mitigate it or reverse it. There was nothing. There was oh, yep, you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. You probably won't be able to conceive children on your own or naturally. Come back whenever you want to conceive children, and we'll probably have to do what's the shot?
Is it a birth control shot or
no? The
Dippo or something.
Yeah, you have to anyway. You have to have a shot to for fertility. We'll see.
Oh, the IVF.
Yeah, IVF. Yes.
Okay.
True. And that was that. And so that was in my early 20s, and I started dating my soon to be husband in my mid 20s, so 23, 24. At the same time, he and I sort of were discovering we were having some other health crises, I would have swollen glands all the time, a lot of lymph issues. He had inflammation of his esophagus and throat. He had stomach ulcers and esophageal ulcers all the time.
Wow.
And it's kind of interesting how he, growing up, ate like a standard American diet, but kind of everything was made at home from scratch, but a lot of the from scratch was like this quick in a box, and a lot of pastas and a lot of cornflakes and a lot of processed dairy. But you were like, well, I'm not eating at McDonald's, so our diet is probably okay. So all of those, and like, we're not just eating donuts at every meal. So long story short, we were living in northeastern PA, and funny enough, we were actually at this farm getting ice cream, and on their bulletin board was one of those little tear-off things that said, if you're interested in holistic medicine, there was a shiatsu class, Endless Mountains Shiatsu. I had never heard the word shiatsu. I didn't really even know what it meant. I don't even know what drew me to like pull one of those little papers and call. But I called, and the lovely owner, operator, mentor, instructor, Sam Kupetsky, answered the phone, and he was so basically he taught traditional Chinese medicine and shiatsu. So I started going for shiatsu treatments, which is basically acupuncture, but without needles. You're using pressure points.
Okay.
And anyway, that was like the little like rabbit hole. You're kind of still at the surface looking into the rabbit hole. You haven't like actually just committed and done a full like lunge into it. You haven't totally launched yourself. And then everything just snowballed from there. Like after that, I went to my husband and I went to an iridologist, and we were blown away.
Oh,
cool. And then within like 6-8 months of working with this beautiful shiatsu practitioner, and with changing our diet and some supplements, and probably doing like an anti-parasitic, I had my period on my own for my very first time as like a 24-year-old, 25-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I can remember calling my shiatsu practitioner and just being like in tears, just like, I can't believe it. I have menstruated. And he was so gracious about it. He was like, well, you don't have to thank me. You need to thank God. You need to thank the universe for this opening and this miracle. And then within like 6 months after that, I conceived like our first child. And I mean, after, I know it's so crazy. Like almost like looking back at it, I can't believe how simple it was. But like I would have never gotten that information from mainstream medicine. And again, I don't mean that at all disrespectfully to people who have felt helped through that capacity. It just wasn't helping me. And I think maybe because Jeff and I were just like willing spirits, we were like, okay, if Sam is telling me I need moxa on these points, I'm going to go. And if the iridologist is telling us, we need to eliminate processed dairy, and we need to eliminate white food, and we need to eliminate white sugar, and just let ourselves heal. I didn't realize then we were probably really healing our gut. They didn't say anything about like gut microbiome or healing, or that wasn't anything we talked about. But now looking back 25 years later, dude, that was totally what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and then that led into us finding home birth midwives.
Oh, wow. You went right in.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I went from like, kind of like mainstream healthy, like grocery store healthy, looking into the rabbit hole, to just like diving headfirst in.
Deep dive. Yeah.
And then that was a whole beautiful and interesting cultural shift, awareness shift.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Just opened up different ways of thinking about things that I had never even considered. You don't know what you don't know. And then that just led to, a life of thinking about my children's health differently. And I mean, I wish that there was like a super sexy thing that I could say about how I got started. I don't know that there was I guess there was this one specific thing. It was polycystic ovarian syndrome that no one gave me answers to, and just said, hey, when you want to have kids, come and we'll see if in vitro, we'll see if it'll work. But no one else besides the alternative world gave me any concrete steps. And I'm a very proactive person. Like I really love taking responsibility. If you tell me I need to do work, whether it's internal or external, I'm pretty willing to to reassess, look at myself and do stuff. And so anyway, that's kind of how I got started. And then it's just been, I don't know, that's just been my life. And then I've, through the years, I've really loved sharing and encouraging other people, sharing with and encouraging other people to not take just one answer as the answer, to take that, to file it away, to honor it for what it is, and then to listen to themselves and just consider, like, what harm is there in just considering other options.
A different approach, a fresh approach.
No harm, no foul, and seeing if like trauma work or changing your diet or grounding or who knows what if it could just a little bit inch you closer to the life you want. Like if dancing naked around a fire is going to heal something, dude, I'm in.
Dance naked around a fire.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm in for it. I'm there to try it. So anyway, yeah. And then, 3 children later,
I had no idea you had 3 kids.
Yeah, I have 3 children, and they're 25, 23, and 19, soon to be 20. And they were all,
wow.
We had them all home, and they were all like fantastic, easy, lovely. That was just my experience. It was a great, powerful experience for me, and also for my husband. I hope for my children. And yeah, so that just imprints who you are. And then through the years, like I coach swimming, and I love sharing with young people how to take care of themselves. You don't want it to just be about imparting swim stroke knowledge. You hope that when you get to mentor people, you give them some beautiful lifelong lessons about how gorgeous and important they are, and how lovely and valuable their life is, and the gift of their body is.
Absolutely.
At least that's what I think. When you're mentoring somebody, you want them to know that they are so important, and everything from head to toe is super valuable. And then I was a personal trainer for a little bit. Like sometimes I think that's why I love you so much, because I think there's some similarities about what we do.
Yeah.
So I love encouraging people. And that's actually, to bring this all together, I was doing that for about 10 or 12 years. And I started brewing kombucha for myself. And of course, then you know how it is. You're doing it for yourself, and you want to share it with the people you love.
Because you love it so much.
Right. And you're like, oh my gosh, this person has, this person doesn't poop very often. Because when you're working with a group of people, when you're working out, you build like a really close connection. You talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, I think this would really help so-and-so with her bowel function. And this person's really trying to break her Diet Mountain Dew habit. Oh my gosh, this would be a great way to do this. And, anyway, I shared it. I was just sharing it. And a friend actually did break up with their Diet Mountain Dew habit and lost some weight, which is a beautiful residual. And they were like, you should do this as a business. And I was like, nah, I teach piano lessons on the side, and I got this like little training business like that, and I'm good. They're like, no, I mean, for like 6, 7, 8 months, they just hounded me. Like, you need to do this as a business. And then
I'm so happy that you listened.
Yeah. But again, that's kind of crazy. I think sometimes people are like, you must have known that you had like this recipe for a great beverage. And
I wish there was soft.
Yeah.
It was really at the urging of a friend. So thank goodness for friends who sometimes do what you can't do and encourage you to do the thing. Because 7 years later, this is so great. Like
Have you been open for 7 years?
Yes.
That's insane.
It is insane.
And I probably did find you at the beginning. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Silverhorse. Like, I'm pretty sure I found you because my daughter was very young, and she's 6.5.
Yeah.
Not quite 6.5, but I had to find you at the beginning.
You found me a little bit in my infancy. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. Here's the other thing.
You did so good.
Whoever might be listening, if you think, oh, I can't do X, or I can't try Y, or I'll fail at Z. I had no experience in the food and beverage industry, like none. I didn't have I had waited tables. I worked as a banquet wait staff, like out of college. But as far as like knowing how to work with Pennsylvania Department of Ag, or how to make food labels, or any of that stuff, I had zero experience. And if I could do it in whatever it is, you can also do it. So yeah, we're 7 years in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the people we've gotten to meet is amazing. And the stories continue of people who, something so simple like kombucha, they can't believe that it helps them with their acid reflux, or they can't believe it helps them with their bowel function. And I do talk about pooping and bowel function with like everybody.
It goes with gut health. It's
it
like
does.
it just is what it is. We're going to talk about poop if we're talking about gut health.
Correct. Also, I didn't realize how many people like really legit struggle with it, but it could be too because so many people are on a string of medications. Again, that's neither good nor bad. I'm just saying nobody really knows what that whole cocktail of different medications ultimately does.
All the side effects happen because usually, I mean, each person is on a different, like you said, cocktail of medicines. So it's going to affect their, and each person is different. So it's going to affect their body differently. So if you can go ahead and find some way to combat against all those side effects, and if it happens to be a beautiful fermented beverage that you create, heck yeah.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So it's super, like, I can't believe I wouldn't have met you. How else in the world would I have met you? Like, my path would have never crossed yours. So that's cool. And there's just story after story of a beautiful person like yourself that we've gotten to meet. And now we're like intimately part of their self-care toolbox. The other thing that I'm super proud of, and this is a little bit of a caveat, and kind of like we're in dry January now, so that's a big deal, but so many people are using our kombucha as a way to just press pause on booch. I mean, on hooch, on booze consumption. And that is so amazing.
I love that.
So stoked about that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been something I thought that people would embrace, but it's definitely, again, that in the last few years, people seem to be more aware that maybe they think they're doing great with having their nightly cocktail or whatever. And if you are, that's awesome. But a lot of people are discovering that they're doing way better when they take a break. And that's cool to be able to support them with something that's delicious and pretty and healthy.
And I imagine I haven't made a mocktail out of it. I just strip sip on I probably do what you shouldn't do. I'm not really sure. I just take my bottle and I take a few swigs.
That is perfectly legit.
Okay, because I maybe had heard somewhere that maybe it was sticking the fork back in the ferments. Like eat it and then stick your fork back in. I don't know if that was a problem or not.
You're somehow contaminating.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think so. Like if you were doing that with sauerkraut or like lacto fermented pickles, it might have more to do with what kind of metal your fork is.
Maybe that was it.
The fact that you're reintroducing anything, because those ferments, the pH on them is such that it doesn't really allow pathogens to multiply, and there's usually such a preponderance of good bacteria that it's not really an issue. It probably has more to do with like, did you put like a pewter spoon in your thing or something?
That might be it. But yeah, I just take it and I'll swig out of it. Usually in the mornings
like
I'll take some
like a lady.
Like a lady. Yeah, like a lady.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Take a few sips and go about my day, and it just I love it after my coffee. I love it.
Glad. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I live in Florida and I can't have your kombucha, but I have found other local kombuchas down here, which is very cool that I found other local kombuchas. But you don't just make kombucha.
No, we also grow water kefir or kefir, which is a microbial cousin of kombucha. So they're still related. They're still ferments. They're still cultures. They are like, here's a kombucha bottle and here's a water kefir bottle. They're both liquids. Sometimes people are familiar with dairy kefir, so they're thinking that it's kind of like a thin yogurt, and it throws them off when it's water. They both, kombucha and water kefir, both have mother cultures, which is a culture of bacteria and yeast. They both have cultures of bacteria and yeast that are essential in order for them to actually be a beverage that has live probiotics and microbes and acids in them. They're just different. They form different. They grow differently, kind of like crystals grow differently. These mothers grow differently. And like kombucha is, I'm feeding that mother, which sometimes people are familiar with, like apple cider vinegar. Like real apple cider vinegar has a mother, so that sometimes helps them understand it. I feed her for kombucha tea and an organic evaporated cane juice. And then she does her work somewhere like 7 to 12 days. Water kefir, I'm feeding her filtered water and an organic evaporated cane juice. So this isn't tea based. And this is somewhere around 2 to 4 days, depending on whether you like it a little sweeter, a little tartar. Sometimes people will ask, like, is one better than the other?
I was just going to ask that.
The one that's better is the one that you'll drink. Like some people love, like you and I were talking. You and I were talking before you started recording. I really love kombucha because it's got just a little bit of that tartness. And some kombucha has a lot of tartness, but not all. So it's got that little zing that I think is a lot present because it ferments longer and it's tea based. So it's going to have a little bit more acid to begin with, which is good. This tends to be a little sweeter, a little milder. Honestly, it sometimes can get a little funky aroma. Like it sometimes can really smell like, whoa.
I've heard that and I've experienced that. But it didn't taste bad.
No, it tastes great. It like this sometimes will taste more like, if I'm being very candid, like a slightly fizzy juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, on the other hand, definitely has like, it's a little bit like vinegar, but not really. Although like every kombucha is so different. I mean, some can be super pungent and funky and awesome in their own way, and others can be really delicate, and it's all over the place. So I always tell people this too. If they go to their local farmer's market, which is the best place to find kombucha rather than the grocery store, go talk to that brewer, like see what you think, try it. And actually from batch to batch, they might have a batch one week that you so vibe with, and maybe the batch the next time you see them you don't love so much. But this is wild capturing the yeast and bacteria in your environment in any given week, in every given season. So it's going to change a little bit batch to batch. So I tell people, like, just keep an open mind. Like maybe you got one and you're like, oh, that was too this or that was too that. Just keep an open mind. Maybe you'll go to another farmer's market and find somebody else who's just slightly doing the process a little bit differently. I use the example, like if you and I were both to make apple pie, yours might be amazing. My crust might be really tough. Yours might be flaky. Mine might have used too much cinnamon. Yours had just the right amount of nutmeg. Like I might push my mother out of the way to get your pie, and you might never want to taste my pie like again. Kombucha is the same way. Like it's not a Gatorade, it's not a Sprite, it's not like the same thing every time.
Exactly. And it's like healing in general. I mean, it's everybody vibes with a different person, a healer, a coach, a mentor, whatever it is,
find the one.
Or personal growth. And it's the same thing, I think, with kombucha or with any, because that is a healing product. Anything that has to do with that, you're going to vibe differently, and just look for the, like you said, keep an open mind and look for the one that serves your soul.
Yes. Yeah, it's no harm no foul. Like nobody's hurt. Like if you were to be in Pennsylvania, you try my kombucha and you don't fall in love with it, there are other beautiful growers of kombucha. And I do say growers because I am actually growing something. Go sample some other ones. The one for you is out there. You just have to look around. And the same goes for water kefir. There's maybe a little bit less variance in water kefir simply because it doesn't ferment as long. And like with kombucha, you're using teas. So it could be like ratios of teas, how long you're steeping them, whether you're using green, black, or an amalgam, that kind of thing. But yeah, these are both. So which one's better? I've like just gotten off track. Which one's better? It's the one you're wanting to drink. Because sometimes people will like vibe with water kefir first, especially if they've never had ferments. Like they might love this one first. And then after maybe a month or 6 weeks of just drinking 4 to 6 ounces of this a day, it is so crazy how when you repopulate your gut, it starts to change your palate.
Yeah.
It starts to change kind of what you crave. Then you might want to come back and try kombucha.
And do you think that you start to actually like crave the ferments more?
I do.
Yes. I've noticed that too, where I start to crave ferments. And if I am consistently having them, I'm like, oh my God, I need my kraut in the morning. I need my kombucha in the morning. I need that. Like, I like the tartness, like we talked about, of the kombucha. I like the tartness of the fermented foods and things like that. but I crave it.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think the more you introduce it, like you said, the more your body will start to feel and understand how great these are. I mean, your gut is actually a velvety tube, and it is filled with tens of thousands of different species, numbering in the trillions. I mean, it's really just this beautiful velvety tube that is a rainforest in miniature. And, you know, we live in North America. All of our food has been sprayed with a gajillion antimicrobials just to get from farm to even farmers market sometimes, but definitely at the grocery store. And then we cook things and heat them. We microwave them. You know, we're not, well, maybe where you live in Florida, maybe people are legit getting outside more. But I know here in Pennsylvania in the winter, dude, it is hard to get outside in the same way that you might.
I'm very blessed that I get to get outside and have some kind of sun. Today is a little cloudy. It's actually very cloudy, but I still got to get outside today.
Yeah, and you could still probably touch the actual earth today.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I guess just that your gut is this gorgeous garden that should be teeming with life. And I think once you start to reseed it and repopulate it, kind of like if you're gardening, you have a beautiful compost pile and you're always working that compost because you know as soon as you get all that life going and you mix that in with your garden soil, that garden is going to flourish and give you beautiful fruits. It's the same. I mean, it's kind of like you have a garden inside of you. This is what these living beverages and sprouts and kimchi, things like that, are helping you to rejuvenate all of that life. And I think once you start to do it a little bit, your body starts to feel great and it starts to send all those great messages to your brain. Yeah, you definitely start to crave it.
And you want more, yeah. Oh goodness, what was the question? Oh, I know what it was. I had slipped my mind for a second. I I'm sure most people have heard it that are listening, but maybe they haven't, that your gut is your second brain.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Oh, totally. Actually, I kind of feel like we're probably going to discover that your brain is your primary brain is in your gut. For every one message that goes from brain to gut, there are 10 messages that go out from your gut.
Wow.
For every one piece of information that comes down, there are 10 pieces of information that go out from your gut. All of those, I mean, again, think about soil and mycelium and how through soil systems, it can translate across a massive field, things like water, nutrients, all sorts of things. You know, your gut is very similar and it's sharing a lot of really important information. It really is. Yeah. And I wish I was more polished and well versed in talking about like the vagal nerve connection, but I mean, it ends in your digestive tract. So that whole connection between gut and brain is invaluable. But I'm sort of thinking that in my lifetime, we might really rethink, is this the thing that really controls us? All of our thoughts and actions and emotional responses are here, or are they really in our gut?
Well, it's crazy for me. Not really crazy. It makes perfect sense. But when my mental health is suffering, my gut suffers. When my gut suffers, my mental health suffers.
Yes.
When
yes.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Well, I mean, and I want to always be incredibly compassionate. And I would never want to say something in a way that would make somebody be like, oh, well, you could just drink kombucha and feel better, as if to like just negate just all of the layers that can happen when we are truly just feeling like we're in a pit and can't get out. There's so much to that. That said, though, one small step you could try, any of us can try, is increasing the diversity in your gut microbiome. I'm not saying that a kombucha is suddenly going to cure you of depression. That's far too simplistic, and it's maybe overstating what a ferment can do. But it can be definitely a great step in the right direction and an awesome tool to have to help balance that out because you are absolutely really right. And for any of us that have ever struggled in any capacity, you do know that when your gut health and your digestion and your bowel function and the way you're nourishing yourself is off, it does impact our ability to interact cohesively and with the rest of what's going on in our life. So yeah,
absolutely.
really
I love, yeah, I love that you said it's a tool, because that's what we, anyone in the healing world, I would say that you're in the healing world, because that's absolutely what you're doing. It's a product, but it's a healing product. And it just happens to taste delicious, but we're just giving you tools for your toolbox that we've learned work from our toolbox. And you can take and leave behind, you can take whatever you want and leave behind whatever you don't want. But that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving you tools, and there's no one cure all for every person. It's different for everybody. But if you could just try these tools, it might help a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, kind of like, what do you have to lose besides the 10-20 bucks or whatever you're going to spend on kombucha?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say too that it's not a panacea. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to have one glass of kombucha and everything will be fixed. I mean, it is kind of like, you're probably going to want to, I call it ramping up, spend 2-3 days, like just taking 4 or 6 ounces and just seeing how your bowel function is, seeing if some people, because we are so disconnected from life and foods that are alive, like they almost feel like a little healing crisis, kind of like the carb flu, like when you've decided, okay, I'm not going to just eat super refined grains and sugars and cut those out for a bit. You kind of feel like you're getting sick as you're like purging.
100%. I did that when I did keto, like real hardcore keto. I loved it for my brain function, but I had a little bit of the carb flu. Like
what is it called? Herxheimer effect?
I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember, but I felt like I was like detoxing kind of.
Yes, precisely. So that's why I don't suggest for somebody who like never eats sauerkraut and never is really eating real yogurt and never is like having ferments like this is going to taste delicious, but maybe like don't drink the whole 32-ounce bottle today.
Yeah.
Spread this out over 3 or 4 days. And just pay attention. And after that, if you want to have a lovely, goblet like this of it with a meal, because it's your replacement for a soda or it's your replacement for your cocktail, brilliant. But yeah, just maybe, go slow at first.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know you have to hop off because it's a little after 5 now.
Yeah, totally cool. Yep.
But okay, so I want to really quickly, you offer different products. So if people want to find all the products you offer, where can they find them online and in person? I know you have a lot of in-person places, so you can just direct them to the website, but.
Lovely. So if you're in the Pennsylvania area, you can find us at a lot of beautiful small Pennsylvania businesses and boutiques and health food stores. You can find all of that by going to our website, KeystoneCultures.com. KeystoneCultures.com.
And we'll tag that.
There'll be like a little find us tab. And I do most of the things around here. So be gentle with me about my website, because I even did that. But there should be a find us tab, and it'll kind of take you to different markets we're at, different stores where you can source us. There's also an online store. I am only bottling my kombucha and water kefir in glass. There might be a time where I move and put some of it into cans, but I just sort of feel strongly about it being in glass.
I like it in glass. No, I'm not gonna lie. I do like it I love the glass bottles. I love the way it tastes in a glass bottle. Agreed. I've never had it in a can of yours, but I love the glass bottle.
Yeah.
I'm just
part of what we want to do too is this idea of rejuvenation and regeneration is like not having things be single use, and glass is just part of the thing. We're able to get our glass back, high temperature sanitize it and give it new life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just, we don't feel like we necessarily want to just be like, hey, it's a single use. Anyway, that's a whole thing. But so I don't ship that, but we do use our kombucha, which ultimately can be a vinegar, which ultimately still has all those great microbial properties and gluconic and glucuronic acids, which that could be a whole other thing we talk about someday. They are so great for your skin.
Yes.
So great for your skin. So great. I'm 51. I kind of am in this place where I don't necessarily want people to always tell me I have to be youthful. Like I'm 51. I am so grateful to have taken 51 trips around the sun. I'm going to look like 51, whatever that looks like. So I hate using the term like youthful as if you only are valuable if you look like you're 25 forever. With that said, these kombucha is such a great thing for your skin, for smoothing, for evening, for balancing pH. It's great for our young friends who are struggling maybe with acne, although that's really more of a gut thing. But as you're trying to do something topically, putting something super all natural that you could literally eat on your skin is great. So I do, I have like a mist that is kombucha, and you can actually, well, not in this one. Sometimes they grow a little mother, but this is
I have a toner still that I use, and it has a bit of mother in it.
Yes,
and I love it.
So that's great for skin, or face, anywhere you might have a skin abrasion. It's great for your underarms. We also use that kombucha mother culture that I talked about. We do a variety of soaps and
best soaps ever,
shampoo bars. And then the other thing that I'm kind of stoked about is we have just started doing a tallow, like a grass-fed pastured tallow.
And what do you do with that?
This is great for your skin as well. This fat is so similar to our own skin. The way it absorbs is absolutely beautiful. It's super rich and emollient. Yeah, obviously people who are committed to a vegan lifestyle, this would not be something they're interested in using because it's grass-fed tallow. But we mix some of our kombucha mother into this too. It's
fantastic.
Incredible. So anyway, we kind of put kombucha. My son jokes with me that I put kombucha in everything because we have so much of it.
So everybody can find that if they're not in Pennsylvania, or if they're a little further away, they can find it at KeystoneCultures.com.
Yep. You can go to our store, you can shop there.
And then if you're in PA, which I hope that everybody, if you're not in PA, goes and visits, because it's beautiful and it has so many little like hidden gems that you must see. But you can, if you go to PA, you can check out stores that you're in from there too. Or if you're listening from PA, please check out the stores on their website. People can also find you on Instagram.
Oh yeah, at Keystone Cultures. At Keystone Cultures, yeah.
And you share a ton of good quality information on there.
Thank you.
Like very, very, very well-informed information.
Thank you. It's not like sexy. It's not like the sexiest site you're ever.
Oh, I think it's absolutely sexy. Smart is sexy.
Okay, smart is
We're
sexy.
redefining sexy. Smart is sexy.
Right.
And healthy is sexy. And healing is sexy.
Healing is sexy. And trying again is sexy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they can find you there too. And when will the market start back up again if people are in PA?
Oh my gosh, like Ligonier Country Market, which is in your kind of old stomping grounds in Southwest PA, starts in like 4 months. It starts in May. Mid-May. So markets really start to roll back, outdoor markets in the May. Some in April, but May, June, July, August, September, tons of farmers markets in Pennsylvania.
And absolutely go check them out because they're so fun. Ligonier Country Market is one of the best markets I've ever attended, and I've been to markets all over the country.
It is a fantastic market.
Fantastic.
Variety. And they do a really good job of vetting their vendors in that you have to be a producer. You can't just be someone who orders stuff online and then resells it. You have to actually be the grower or producer of what you sell. So that's awesome.
I adore that. Cool. So is there anything, I know this was a little short. We're going to have to definitely do a part 2 one day.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I feel like we have so much more we could talk about. But is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
I mean, no, some of the things that I think would be fun to talk about, to deep dive in. Sometimes people are, pregnant women are concerned of whether they can have a ferment or not.
Okay.
Ferment. Sometimes people doing keto are curious about sugar content. Sometimes people with histamine intolerances are curious whether kombucha is for them or not.
What about people that don't drink alcohol?
So I will just touch on that really quickly. For people who are legitimately in recovery, like you're not just choosing to press pause because that's your choice, but you really feel like I need to make a specific split with alcohol, and I need to stay on that. It's really up to personal preference. Our kombucha, we actually just we have testing quarterly to confirm it. Our kombucha at bottling and even after bottling comes in at a 0.35. So anything under 0.5 is considered non-alcoholic, like non-alcoholic beers are under 0.5, that kind of thing. So ours it's non-alcoholic. But for some people, just the fragrance of a ferment can be triggering. So it really comes down to a personal preference. Like for some people, the fact that they can have something and it's mildly effervescent and it's pretty in a glass and it has a complex flavor profile, they love it. And it actually helps and sustain them in their recovery. And it's a great swap out option. For other people, just the smell reminds them too much of this thing that they love, and it could be a thing that might cause them to backtrack. So I think you just really have to know yourself.
Trust your gut.
Use that as a guide.
Okay.
Because I've had both beautiful types of people in recovery come talk to me, come sample our kombucha, and I've gotten both responses, and I've had some really lovely conversations with people who have had many years of sobriety, and they either love to use kombucha or they wish they could, but it's too reminiscent of something for them. Okay. So it's really personal.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you were talking about something. I just wanted to ask that because I have heard differing opinions on that in recovery, because I don't really know if I'm in recovery or I don't drink anymore. So I drank too much. I don't drink anymore. And I still drink kombucha. It doesn't affect me though. Give me any reminiscing of drinking alcohol, but I was also drinking kombucha way before I was ever drinking alcohol.
Right. And in your mind, kombucha is like a health drink. You're not actually trying to utilize kombucha as a replacement for something. So there could just be again,
just the way I connect it.
Things are so super personal. So many things are personal.
Yeah. Cool. So did you have anything else to talk about when I said, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just did that. Oh no. Thanks. Are you still there? Yes. I guess one of the other things is when you find a small producer of kombucha, so like you're in Florida, finding kombucha at a farmer's market, in my opinion, is going to be your best.
Mama, this is a real problem.
Those lovely people are probably doing.
Where is my gymnastic spots? That is.
Go ahead, keep talking. I'm ignoring her, sort of. You can keep talking. I'm listening to you.
Where's my gymnastics mat? It's blue and red. It's gone. I need to practice.
All right, Annalise. I don't know. I'll find it afterwards. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, my daughter. If everybody's watching, I have a daughter.
Yeah, well, she wanted to know where her gymnastics stuff was. That's anyways, people ask about people doing this, people growing kombucha that are at farmers markets. Anytime you can find a small producer, that's who I would recommend. Or even if it's a larger producer, but it's someone local to your area, as opposed to, and this is horrible because maybe one day I'll want to be a national brand. And I'm grateful that there are national brands that ship everywhere, but there is no real like super tight regulation on kombucha. So let's say I was a big soda manufacturer. I could just call any product I want kombucha. It could be a sparkling water. I could add a ton of lab created probiotics to it. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm growing it or culturing it or brewing it authentically the way I am or somebody at a farmer's market is.
Yeah.
The other thing is, those of us at farmers markets are probably only really flavoring this with fruit and roots and herbs. We're not adding additional sugars. Like if you go to any major grocery store or like some off-brand grocery stores, you'll maybe find it'll have whatever their brand is kombucha, and you look and the sugars are crazy. They're like the same as a soda.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful reasons you could drink kombucha is you could legit be enjoying something beautiful that would put great microbes back into your gut, and it has less sugar. So you just have to really watch sugar content. Like ours, for 8 ounces, you're looking at maybe 8 grams of residual sugar.
Okay.
soda for the same amount, you're maybe looking at just for 8 grams, maybe anywhere between 16 and 30 grams of sugar.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's just, and then sometimes people will ask about it on a keto diet. And again, you really only need to ingest or enjoy like 4 to 6 ounces. So you could, if you want to stretch that out, you could pour that into sparkling water with a little vinegar. You know, you can make a beautiful beverage, but you only need like a little bit. So it shouldn't necessarily, like if you're doing Whole30 or something, you might be able to enjoy it. If you're really trying to be in ketosis, kombucha might not be for you for that time.
I used to make a juice that was more keto friendly. It was just lemon, celery, and ginger.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put 2 to 4 ounces of kombucha in it.
Yes.
To get that more, to make, because I would only drink so much juice because I didn't want to have too much juice for the carb content and the sugar content.
Yep.
And then I didn't want to have too much kombucha for the same reasons. So I would just mix them together and I'd have a nice little 4-ounce drink. And it was like perfect.
Exactly. Precisely.
Perfect. And I got the great benefits of kombucha and the juice.
Correct. Yeah. So that's what I normally recommend for people.
Yeah.
Mama, look.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we could probably have a whole other discussion on a bunch of things.
Yes.
I'm kind of drawing the blank right now. So
Mama,
Okay.
look.
Good deal. Well, my daughter's getting impatient anyway. So
yes.
thank
Thank you for this time.
Oh my God, thank you for coming.
With you. I wish
know.
that everybody knew how you and I first met and how amazing you are and how gracious you were to me when I was just kind of getting started and you were already sort of established in your thing. So thank you for that.
Thank you for coming along on this journey. I so appreciate it.
Come to Florida to see you, and we need to go.
Heck yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, stay in touch with me. I'm so grateful. I hope we do this
I absolutely will. Yeah. We have a lot more to talk about that we're going to talk about in the future with the podcast, hopefully, but also with ourselves. But I appreciate you for joining us today, and I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Healing Whole, the podcast. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please click subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, CallieTony_. That's CALLITONY_, or check out my Facebook page. Just search Callie Tony. You can also find me on my website and everything that I have to offer, callietony.com.